I think the world of Britt. I want her to be as happy and successful as humanly possible. And I know she feels the exact same way about me. We did decide to go our separate ways, but that doesn't mean that she will not be an incredibly important part of my life.
What is going on, everybody? Good Wednesday morning here on the Takedown on SI YouTube channel, the all-new Takedown on SI YouTube channel. Make sure to hit like, make sure to hit subscribe for more great content like this. I am Ricky Ucchino. You know my guest at this time. He just returned to action, thankfully. Oh, my God. We got a lot to catch up on. It's all about the boom here on a Wednesday. What is going on, Adam Cole, baby? How are you doing?
Yes, man, I am doing fantastic. Again, it's been quite the long road to get back to doing what I love to do, doing what I feel like I was born to do, and that is pro wrestling, specifically with AEW. So I'm over the moon. Could not be more excited to be back in action, man. Very excited.
So again, there's a lot to get caught up here, but I want to go back a few months. Double or Nothing. Roof blows off the joint when MJF shows up. And nobody could have been happier to watch you get your butt kicked, right? You get booed out of the building. You're hobbling away. A few months later, Wrestle Dream shows up. The shoe is on the exact opposite foot, and you did not have to do a damn thing. It was absolutely incredible. Given where MJF is with the fans, you had to expect a fairly positive reaction, but to get that kind of response from the fine folks in Tacoma, that had to be a great feeling.
Yeah, it was an amazing feeling, man. Again, when I did leave, I certainly was a villain in the eyes of the AEW fans. But again, as far as I'm concerned, MJF showed exactly who he was when I was away. So I think in that sense of me returning and being back in front of the AEW fans, I was so thankful, so grateful for the excitement that they had. But again, I think everyone wants to see MJF just get his butt kicked. I really do. Yeah,
for sure. Which goes to show you he's absolutely been doing his job over the last few months.
Yes, he has.
Let's talk about the injury initially, which was such a freak instance. You're running down to the ring, you jump off the ramp, something you've probably done a bajillion times.
Yep.
You had to know something was wrong immediately, obviously, but did you have a feeling it was as bad as what it turned out to be?
So I knew it was bad, but I didn't know it was that bad. Like for example, when I jumped down off the ramp, which I had talked to my surgeon about this, and they explained that like ankles and shoulders are the two things with athletes where it can make no sense whatsoever. Every now and then there are freak accidents or freak incidents that happen. So when I landed, I knew it was bad. Like I knew it was really, really bad. Did I think I was going to be out for a year? No. I did not think at all that I was going to be out for a year. So it was incredibly disheartening. Again, when I look back at the past 2 years within AEW, again, this is a company I've wanted to work for a long time. I'm so thankful to be a part of the company. But again, dealing with this double concussion injury that I dealt with, being out for 9 months, coming back and having this 6-month run that I was like incredibly proud of, incredibly happy about. And then to deal with this insane ankle injury was very mentally discouraging. Like for example, when I first got my ankle surgery, the idea was I would be out for anywhere from 6 to 9 months. And that was the plan. The surgery was going to take about an hour to complete. And the first surgery that I got ended up being like 3.5 hours. So when I woke up, the first piece of news that I heard was your ankle is way worse than we anticipated.
Oh, no.
You have to get another surgery in 7 days. So not only did I have to get like double the amount of screws in my ankle, but also I had to get someone else's bone put into my ankle because the bone piece within my ankle just completely disintegrated. So it was like just a nightmare of an injury. So again, I knew it felt very bad. But I did not think it was going to take me an entire year to come back. But I'm so glad I'm here now. So
okay. So how many screws? Was there a metal plate that was involved too in this?
So as far as I know, it's 7 or 8 screws, but also someone else's bone. So what happened was in the second surgery, they went to screw in my ankle bone it was about this size that was kind of just floating around within my ankle. They went to save it. and it just completely disintegrated.
Oh.
So someone who was kind enough to donate a bone after they had passed away, I have someone else's ankle bone in my ankle, which has been working tremendously well. So again, incredibly thankful to him and the family to be in that situation where I have someone else's ankle bone in my body. But yeah, it's like 7 or 8 screws and someone else's bone in my ankle.
So doing a little bit of research on this, because I'm not a medical professional, but like,
Me either.
I heard you were talking about a metal plate at some point, which can, based off of what I read, limit mobility. So this almost sounds like this was a silver lining, kind of a better option, or did the screws kind of mess with you at all?
No, it's certainly a better option. Again, I definitely notice a difference in my left ankle as opposed to my right one, but I think that comes with the territory. For example, I had a shoulder surgery done in 2014, where my left shoulder does feel a little bit different than my right one, but it hasn't necessarily completely changed my aspect or changed the style in which I wrestle. And I feel the same way about my ankle. So even though there are some differences with my left ankle as opposed to my right one, I still feel like I can be Adam Cole and do the things that I want to do. And I'm certainly not even close to wanting to be done with wrestling. So I feel like hopefully nothing will change.
Dude, you're 35. You're a young pup.
You're 35. I'm a young pup, baby. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
You're just getting started. We got dudes going into their. Look at Billy Gunn.
Exactly. Exactly. I got tons more time. More time.
You're
my wrestling
fine. You're fine. And for the last 2 years, you've built up some room on your bump card there.
You know what, I've said this before too. In the 16 years that I've been wrestling, I feel like this is like my wrestling credentials kind of catching up to me, because I've been so lucky and so fortunate where I've barely suffered any injuries my whole career. So right now I'm just playing catch up a little bit, but that doesn't mean that the length of my career is going to go anywhere. It doesn't mean I'm not going to be wrestling for a very, very long time. My body's just playing catch up a little bit. That's all it is. That's all it is.
So this arguably was one of the worst timed injuries, I think, in wrestling history. Like I know we had a chance to, I forget which pay-per-view it was. I want to say it was All Out. Like we were talking about, you having so much fun with this partnership with yourself and MJF, and obviously you're building to this huge angle with the Undisputed Kingdom, and you get hurt, and then Max gets hurt as well. Mm-hmm. And like you're trying to be this central figure in this storyline, but you're also injured. And then there were reports that was kind of screwing up the rehab process.
Yeah.
Trying to carry that story through everything, that had to be an incredibly trying time for you as a performer.
Yeah, it was so frustrating. Which again, like as pro wrestlers, we constantly go through different trials or tribulations in like different ways. But like for me in this exact moment, of course, it was something timing wise that was like the worst possible thing to happen within this situation. But I do constantly remind myself of how thankful I am that I've gotten to do what I've gotten to do for such a long amount of time, that I try not to focus too much on the negative aspect of everything. Of course, we're going to do everything that we possibly can to continue the story and continue the program and things like that. But I was incredibly limited. A couple other people were incredibly limited in what we could do. So all you have to do, I guess, is just stay as positive as possible and know that coming out on the other side, hopefully things turn out a little bit better. So,
yeah, I mean, clearly there were different plans in place for the Undisputed Kingdom before everything had happened. And, it's one thing if something affects you, but with that trickle down there, was it difficult, even though it was a freak thing, right? But was it difficult to not feel some kind of guilt or remorse knowing that, the injuries to yourself and Max were kind of affecting a lot of the other guys in the roster at the time?
Oh, dude, it crushed me. Yeah. Yeah. Because exactly what you said, like there's like I can handle dealing with my own challenges that I have to deal with, but if it involves affecting other people, that's like a real big problem for me. So that was certainly tough and certainly challenging, but fortunately all the guys that I work with are the most understanding, like wonderful dudes in the entire world. So I'm glad I'm close with guys like Roderick Strong and Mike Bennett and Matt Taven, and things like that. So they understand that freak situations and freak circumstances do happen. But yeah, to say this was a challenging time mentally would be an understatement. In a weird way, again, the concussion injury that I had, that was probably the scariest in the sense of like, am I going to be able to come back from this injury? But to deal with the ankle injury, which took even more time, and knowing that it affected other people, yeah, it was really, really tough. But again, I'm so thankful that I have a great support system around me, and that includes not just my family, but the wrestlers who were involved.
So you come back at Double or Nothing. You were able to do a little bit, right? As far that when MJF came back, I should say, you were able to do a little bit there in the ring. And I think a lot of people looked at that time and go, okay, so he took a low blow. He's able to get spiked there a little bit. Max is back now. Maybe this might be the start of something. Turned out it was more of kind of just like a blow off and a wrap up of what you guys were working on prior to. Did you think that there was a chance when you came back here you might just go in a completely different direction, or was it always, in the thought process, you would come back to Max when you were healthy enough?
Sure. So I'm sure there were a bunch of different thought processes or ideas as far as where Adam Cole was going to go, or the Undisputed Kingdom, or anything involving MJF. But to me, it made complete sense that is where we return to. Even though MJF at this point is a villain, he is a heel. And now that I've come back, I'm in almost a babyface role. But I do feel like that, at least for a little bit, acknowledging the feud and the storyline that we are in, I feel like that's incredibly important going forward. Now, what happens after that, I don't know. But I certainly think that going that route was the right direction, at least for the time being.
Your return promo, at least for the time being, again, it kind of made it sound like you're going to be standing on, your own 2 feet, want to deal with the MJF situation on your own. That doesn't necessarily mean you're done with Undisputed Kingdom.
Sure. No. Yep, absolutely not. No, I think there's a certain responsibility that I feel, considering the Undisputed Kingdom group that was started, was my thought process, my idea, something that was very important to me. But I feel like I put those guys in a very interesting situation where I don't want to affect them in a way where they have to deal with me finishing this story or finishing this situation or this problem that I have with MJF. I know that Roddy, Mike, Matt have been very insistent on wanting to be involved. I don't know if I want them involved or not, so time will tell. But right now, I feel like leaving them out of the situation is incredibly important for me and my closure with Max.
So obviously, you're going through this difficult rehab process over the last year. And then, you put out on social media that you end up having to do what is essentially a cross-country move by yourself, going from Florida to Pennsylvania, which I cannot imagine was easy. And now I just want to preface this, full disclosure. I tend to stay out of people's personal lives. Your business is your business. But given that they're, especially with, the mention that you were moving, there was a lot of online speculation about this in recent months. If you are comfortable doing so, I wanted to kind of give you the opportunity to address the rumors regarding yourself and Britt Baker.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. And actually, I appreciate having the chance to talk about this, because me and Britt have talked about this recently, actually. So me and Britt have indeed split. We are no longer a couple. But when I say that we both still love each other and are still friends and still so supportive of each other, that could not be more true. Again, I think the world of Britt. I want her to be as happy and successful as humanly possible. And I know she feels the exact same way about me. We did decide to go our separate ways, but that doesn't mean that she will not be an incredibly important part of my life. Britt is absolutely one of my best friends. She's someone that I love dearly and will always love dearly. And there is no ill will between me and her whatsoever. We did separate as a couple, like I had mentioned. But again, we still love each other dearly and will always be there for each other and support each other. So yes, that is indeed true. I did move to Pennsylvania, and Britt is still in Florida. But again, she's one of my favorite people in the entire world, and I want nothing but the best for her. I really do.
You're a good man, Adam Cole. Can I just
I mean
say
it.
that?
I mean it.
Yeah. Like, man, social media, it is what it is, right?
Yeah,
Unfortunately. And I just a couple weeks ago, I spoke to Britt about this and her struggles with social media since joining AEW. She said that was the hardest part for her when coming into television, was dealing with both the good and the bad aspects of social media. And, you know, you're someone who has a great online relationship. You have this great online community with your streaming service. But when you see so many people talking about your personal life, whether things that were said are true or not, no need to get into the minutia of it. But how do you deal with that?
Yeah, it's I don't know. So I constantly go back and forth with the battle of, again, I do think that you have to accept when you're someone in the public eye that there will be scrutiny or judgment kind of across the board. I think being someone who is a public figure, of course, there are going to be situations where people are going to voice their opinion and say how they feel, and things like that. And I think that comes just with the territory. But what breaks my heart is, again, for someone like me and Britt, I don't want anyone to ever think that me and Britt like dislike each other. Like, I think it is possible, in situations for people who are in relationships to kind of go their separate ways, but still care about one another. So the last thing I would want is fans to like pick sides or anything like that. But as far as me personally, again, I've come to terms with the fact that people are able to voice their opinion and say how they feel, and that is okay. I think it's a combination of obviously ignoring some of the super negative stuff, but then also listening to some criticism and going, oh, I can grow in this aspect. Maybe I could be better in this field, or I could be better in this way. So fortunately, like I said, I have an amazing support system, whether it be my family or my friends. And I have an amazing, amazing fan base that I am so incredibly, incredibly thankful for. So I think it's important to focus on the positives, and to be able to look objectively at maybe some of the negatives that are being said and figure out the things that you could grow from and things where maybe I should push that to the side. So.
Well, let's focus on the future here, Adam Cole.
Yeah.
Since Forbidden Door 2022, so that's June 26th of that year, hard to believe you've had 12 matches. 12. Yeah. How much, man, are you just looking forward to getting back in the ring and putting together a body of work over the next few months and years, and just being able to remind people who the hell Adam Cole is?
Oh, dude, I'm unbelievably excited. Again, the one, if you could say there's any positive to the situation that I've been in as far as injuries go, it has constantly reminded me of how much I love and want to be a part of pro wrestling. Like, I am so unbelievably amped, so unbelievably stoked, excited to get back into the ring and have matches and be on AEW TV every single week. Again, I'm 35 years old, but I have so much more of my career left to go. So I am so unbelievably excited to show the AEW fans and the pro wrestling fans what Adam Cole is all about and how much more I have to bring to the table.
All right, man. I know you got a flight to catch. I'm going to let you go catch it. I appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you.